Hi, my dear unicorns, and welcome to your new moon energy report for June. This new moon is in Gemini. Sits at 20 degrees at 6:52 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so make the adjustments for your time zone. This is a solar eclipse. Welcome to eclipse season. So let's go through the breakdown here. You have your new moon tarot reading. If you haven't listened to that already, go and listen to that after this. The two work in synthesis, right? So we have the pure lunar energy that we're looking at, and then we're hearing and pulling through the energetic that the universe wants us to hear as a collective and how to work under this lunation. Okay, so this new moon in Gemini, let's do the new moon basics first, right? We recap it every month because even after years of it, I like to be refreshed of like, okay, here's where my attention needs to be and where things are set. So the new moon is when the sun and the moon snuggle side by side in the universe, right? They're snuggling. So there's no reflection of the sun off of the moon's surface. It's dark of the moon. This is a time of restoration, rest, recuperation, meditation, and really like hermiting earnestly. So this is considered to be the most intuitive of times, the highest time of messaging in the cycle. So it's like, if you go and get a message, it's probably going to be now. If you don't worry about it. Everything comes in the proper timing for each person. But it's really the quiet of the moon. It's the most lunar of her cycle. So this is no light, right? This is our constructive rest phase on the mat, and the constructive rest phase is our full set of stretches because we honor the cycles, right, of the lunations, of the astrology, of our vessel. Because things work in cycles, right? And so the constructive rest phase are full stretches for 6 days on the mat, because without rest, there are no results, okay? We do the work and the striving in the other 3 weeks during the cycle, and we amp up towards the full moon, but at the new moon, we lower down. It's not a do nothing phase. We still want to be moving and integrating, but this allows transformation and change to take place and results in the actual physical vessel. So take that and apply it to the external collective. This is a quieting time of contemplation, of evaluation, of reevaluation, of journaling, again, meditating, listening, daydreaming, napping, right? To allow breakthroughs, to allow the pings, to allow the ahas or the things that you may have always known, but they just resonate at a deeper level at these energetic times. So this is like the most lunar of the lunar cycles in theory, because it is quiet and patient, and it's highly, highly, highly intuitive. So I'm checking the notes. This is a time, so when, in the world of memes, that it can get really boiled down to, making wishes, new moon wishes. And wishes are absolutely a part of it, but there is a process to this, right? You do need to be thinking and meditating and pulling cards and journaling, right? To process your thoughts and your feelings. The new moon is a time to go, what do I really want? What's working? What's really not working? Right? And so you have that quiet time alone. Then once you have processed, journaled is like the easiest way to do it, or the most, broad spectrum way to do it. A lot of clients, if they don't really get into journaling, voice notes can work really well too, to just sift and sort through things. And this new moon's in Gemini, so voice notes would be a really great way to process this one. Then you set your intention, right? This is the seeds of intention. So the new moons offer fresh starts and new beginnings, right? Restoration. And so this is where you set the intention, you plant the seed, or you make the wish. But any gardener knows you don't just plant the seed and leave it. The same goes for co-creatorship and manifestation. You don't just wish for things and they show up. Okay, you have to follow up the intention setting with the to-do list. How do I get from point A to point B? How do we actually get things done? And then you have that period of time to go, okay, what of these things can I just check off the list? Do I already know how to do? Can I do? Where do I need to recruit help? Where do I need to recruit new skills? Okay, so this is a planning stage, right? It's a planting stage, but then the rest of the tools have to fall in place and in line. Okay, so new moons, meditation, listening to the tarot reading here in your library, making wishes. You know, this is about rituals that you can put in place. Like, there's no right way to be a witch, but journaling it out is always a great way. If you just want to write out your intention, you can fold it up and put it under an activator crystal, anything that has a pointy top to it. You can bury it in the dirt outside or tuck it in a potted plant if you want. This is yours to do with as you wish. I'm always big on smoke clearing under any lunation because this is a cleansing, right? And so this is fresh starts and new beginnings. And Epsom salt baths because it's an auric cleanse, because it's a hydrator. Anytime that we're working with the lunations, water is a play here. And it's just cleansing to the vessel. So again, these are all great starter pieces or consistent pieces for unicorns. There's no right way to be a witch. Whatever ritual you want to create to honor this lunation, do so. And if you have other things that you like to do that are, typically, called a full moon ritual, whatever, it's yours. It's your relationship with the greater cosmos, right? Okay. But again, it's about evaluating, meditating, imagining, daydreaming, setting intentions, and then mapping the steps to it. Okay, so it's got its whimsical side, but it also has its very practical side because manifestations do not come to fruition without some effort on our part. That's the messaging. Okay, so then Eclipse Basics, because this is a new moon solar eclipse in Gemini. Eclipses set the tone for the next 6 months, okay? They usher in evolution, transformation, and change. Take that as you will. That can be a brilliant, beautiful gift. That could also be like a surprise. It could be perceived as a negative, but like, hey, this is the path and this is where the lesson and the blessings will come from. The eclipses are culminations of emotional transformation. Okay, so yes, things happen, right? But the biggest change of healing and energetics comes from us, how we feel or how we think about things. So there's an emotional cycle, culmination, evolution, transformation. And as always under the lunations, I say check the house that Gemini falls in for you, because this will give you like the whoop whoop of like where these lessons and blessings are coming from, where this emotional transformation comes from. So, we'll revisit it at the end, but unicorn bingo is what we call it. Like, where is it on your bingo sheet? Where is it in your astrological natal chart? I think under eclipses, it's particularly important to go take a look at that. This is a big brushstroke in astrology, but it's a really nice one if you're working with the lunations because it does give some focus and clarity to it, okay? Let's do Gemini Basics then. Gemini is the twins of the zodiac chart. It's an air sign, and I love me some Gemini, okay? So Gemini is voracious with information, so loves all the apps, loves the scrolling, loves the likes, right? Commenting, verbal processing, podcasts, anything to do with words, education, and information, okay? And so Gemini is just this swirl of information. It's very current culture, right? Like how many articles and how many apps and how many posts did you look at today kind of thing. So there is this beauty that in exaltation or in its best balance, when you talk about Gemini, it's the coolest part is the education part, right? You bring in information. And Gemini says, well, I thought this yesterday, but I learned this piece of information today. And therefore I've changed my mind today. So today I think this about something, right? So it's got this expansiveness, willing to change, evolution, is okay to be wrong. Actually, it never perceives it as right or wrong. It just perceives it as synthesized information and like, oh, here's what I have to work with now. The imbalance of Gemini can be looked at as flaky, flip-floppy. You thought that yesterday. You were totally into that yesterday, and now you're totally not. So there's a fine balance, like in all of the energetics of the zodiac, of finding the sweet spot. Gemini's lesson and medicine in this lifetime is wisdom, okay? So just having information and information regurgitation or research is not wisdom, and it's not something to go on, and it's not something to make a decision on. That's just data, right? And so Gemini can get caught in the data, which if you look at our current news streams, like in our culture, we're in data mode most of the time, okay? But Gemini's medicine is to cultivate wisdom. How do you cultivate wisdom? You have the data, you go, I have enough data. I've got enough. We don't need another one. We've got enough. From what we have here, you make a decision. Then you have an experience with the data, the information that you had, and the experience that you had, and you synthesize those things. That generates wisdom. And when you do that over time and over time and over time, this creates wisdom, right? So Gemini at its best and its greatest is a wonderful teacher, passes along wisdom through information by synthesizing and experiencing data and putting its own feelings and emotions into it also, of like what it felt like, how it went about, how this went down in this particular instance, okay? Instead of just getting caught up in the numbers, because we are not simply data and numbers, we are the experience of those things as well. So Gemini has so much to offer the collective, but it can get a little wild and woolly and super ungrounded and just be like this swirl of ideas and information and data and like, oh my God, just, Taurus sun is like, just stop. Just stop. Just pick something. It's not that simple for Gemini because it is meant for expansiveness, it is meant for evolution, and it is meant for growth, right? So Gemini processes verbally, right? So there's going to be a lot of chatter, even if in not a typical, solar eclipse. Whenever the moon is in Gemini, just watch like your little social apps and your chats and like your friendships, they get a little buzzy most of the time. And so it's a really fun time, but it can also be really busy. So if you are a true classic introvert or have a ton of earth energy in your chart, that sort of Gemini buzzy might not always feel very good. Okay, so just honor that. And this is really about expansion into wisdom, but that takes some tethering and it takes grounding. So you will always hear me in air signs, air lunations, grounding. In this lunation, you want to head to your mat. You want to cling to your mat, in particular if you don't feel like it, because all of this air quality and all of this processing and pulling in new information and potential plot twists, because that's what I really think the eclipses are, you need the grounding. And you need to be tethered and to be able to find your own internal moral compass to synthesize it and make a decision to cultivate for your personal wisdom. And remembering that the truth, like science is science, facts are facts, but your personal truth and what resonates as correct for you needs you to be ultimately grounded so that I hate to use the term moral compass, but that's kind of what's coming out is like, let's call it like your soul compass, right? Is really working with the magnetics at play here. So mat time is crucial in an air lunation, in particular an eclipse, because an eclipse just amplifies it, just juices it. It's going to be a little extra, okay? This lunation in Gemini, I'm just going to read my notes because we will take a little journey as we go. Has us looking at where we're getting pushes and pulled by external winds and ideations and information. So this lunation, because of the eclipse, because of the timing, because we're in the United States Pluto return, we're really getting pushed and pulled. And again, you can look to mainstream media of like one day they say one thing, the next day they say the other thing. And you're like, where did this thing come from? That was totally opposite. And I don't see the facts or the data to back it up. It just switched, right? That kind of thing. So it's always a time under this lunation to transition us into wisdom. But this lunation in particular, because of its timing, because of the Pluto return for the United States, is really asking us to get wise again in that soul compass. I think maybe that's what we'll start referring to it as. In your own practices, what is your personal truth? What are you comfortable with? What do your experiences and knowledge allow you to do? Because if we look for external direction, it's just going to be this like windy push-pull. It's like being the sail on the boat and the wind is like pushing one direction one minute and then the other direction it's like you're not getting anywhere. So it's kind of like, okay, I don't even know if this is how it works, but like, you know, bring down the sail, use the engine to cut through kind of the mess. And the engine is your connection to spirituality, your experiences, your intelligence, and some due diligence at finding information that's not just given to you, right? And a little research of your own. So by knowing who we really are, our authentic self, our authentic voice, what our personal truths are, this keeps the winds of you know, yes, no, front, back, you know, from pushing and pulling and exhausting us. Okay. Gemini energy can cause a lot of confusion. So this is really to minimize confusion. Again, we talk about high vibe. Gemini is really high vibe because it's air and it's that space, right? Between the ethers and the cosmic expansiveness. It's a little bit of the final frontier. So, you know, I would guess like a spaceship or a plane, it's like that bit of turbulence before you cut through to clear skies. This is turbulence in this kind of energy. And so we have to know how to stay grounded, how to navigate it, and how to stay calm in it. So yeah, it's like you're just gonna have to it's calling us to get really tight with our personal set points and just go with that, because everything else may seem a little topsy-turvy externally. Decisions will actually get easier because that soul compass, you get so much more rooted and grounded. So again, frequency, energetics, magic, spirituality can go high vibe, high vibe, high vibe. Like, I hate the term high vibe tribe, because that's not where the work is. The work is in the grounding. The work is in the root. The work is in that calm, quiet, slow wisdom. And it's really like, you know, the lower worlds of shamanic work. That's where the magic is, right? In the dark. So you plant the seeds in the dark and the unseen. Well, that's the lower chakras. That's not the higher ones. So when we have these currents of change and information and breakthroughs coming, we need to know how to ground them hardcore. So again, unicorn wellness, you know, get on the mat, you know, walks in nature, hands and feet in the dirt when and where you can. Because your decision-making capacity will get so much easier as your soul compass gets more roots and actually gets heavier and lower. I hope that resonates, because it's really important. And again, unicorn bingo. Check which house Gemini sits in your personal astrological natal chart. If you had your simple stars chart done from me, then just go back to that recording and see where Gemini sits and what house that's in the astrology, and that'll give you that little bird's eye into it of like, where are the blessings and the lessons, but more uniquely, because it's a solar eclipse, where is the emotional evolution occurring? Now remember, evolution is a transition and a change and a transformation. It's not always comfortable and it's not always pretty. So it may be a little messy. It don't mean it's not good. Okay? So let's go through the journaling prompts under this new moon in Gemini. Use these journaling prompts, right? Like to just see where it takes you. There's no right answer. And, you know, intuitive journaling is like the first thing that pops into your mind. Just write it down. Like, when I ask this question, what's the first thing you think of? Is it a weird song? Is it a color? Like, all of these things matter. And this is how your personal intuition, your personal magic works, is by really working these prompts. If you will use them under each of these lunations, or more lunations than not, watch how it really is personalized coaching that moves you through things, okay? So the journaling prompts under this new moon in Gemini, solar eclipse, okay? Where do I need more information? Okay, because you may need more information. You may not be super cozy with Gemini energy, and you may have been like hiding from things for a while, and you need to go gather some information. Where do I have enough information? Okay. When I was writing these out, this also came up as like, you know, where have people shown me their true colors over and over and over, right? You have enough information. You've had enough experiences to know like, yes, everyone's allowed to change. Things are allowed to change, but what's the consistency here? Like what's happened more times than not? So again, Gemini usage of collecting the data, like where do you have enough information? Like stop. Just stop. You already know the answer to this. And where can you make a decision? Okay. Yeah, that was the next one. Like, you know, where do you have enough information and where do you now need to make a decision? Like, where have you been like pretending like you needed like another insight? You don't need another insight. Where am I exhausting myself with possibilities? So Gemini gets so excited with all of the ideas, but I mean, you know, as a teacher, it's like there are no stupid questions, but not all ideas are great ones, and not all ideas are applicable, and not all ideas are timely, right? Maybe a fabulous idea, but the timing and the resources is not yet available. Jot it down, hold it for later, right? Don't throw it overboard, but also you don't need to run with that one right now, right? So where are you exhausting yourself with ideas? Where do you need more roots, longer roots, or roots at all? Because this is the grounding aspect, right? So somebody out there is going to be like, but what about an air plant? You know, it's like it's floating out there. But this is calling for roots. So where could your roots be longer, healthier, deeper? Do you need to transplant your roots to someplace else? You know, look for roots and grounding. Where can I get more grounded? You know, where am I just flying by the seat of my pants, hoping that it's going to work? You know, where do I need to put more doing and effort in? Where am I talking too much and not doing enough? You can also, you know, where am I thinking too much and not doing enough? Gemini is classic to overthink things and then spiral into anxiety. If that is happening, best tool you have is to get into the body and into the vessel. Into the body, into the vessel in a way where you like escape your thoughts for a while, where it's not a brain game anymore. And that can be long walks. Like you may need to walk for 2 hours to get your brain out of the game, but do it, right? Maybe that's roller skating. Maybe that's jumping on the mini trampoline. Maybe that's jump roping. Sometimes repetitive things like that can really work your head out of things. Swimming's another one that's coming to mind right now. Where am I walking my talk, or rather, where am I not walking my talk? Again, Gemini gets pegged as flaky for a reason, right? So there's a lot of talk and no action there at times. So where are you walking your talk? And you can go right on. That's some balanced, wise energy, right? And then where am I not walking my talk? So where can I take action and be more integrous in the way that I'm actually showing up with the things that I think and feel? And the last one, this is how the phrasing came out. Where can I do with more gravity? Now, again, Gemini gets so into the ideas and in the ethers. It kind of gets stuck there sometimes, like a kite stuck between the astral, you know, realms. So where can you do with more gravity? Maybe you're already doing the things that walk your talk, but how can they have more depth and more weight? So again, I always think of Gemini as a balloon, right? Or like helium. Helium alone is just a gas that's like everywhere. But if you give it, right, when it was given a gorgeous silk to create a balloon, then it becomes scientific weather. You know, I'm thinking like 19th century, you know what I mean? Like there was this gas and there was heat, but it really wasn't anything that was useful and breakthrough until it had some tethers and some tangible pieces to it. So you want to do with a little bit more gravity and weight. So think of like, again, a balloon without sandbags is just like clutter in the world, right? It's litter, right? But if it's got some sandbags and some heaviness and can come back down, I know it's also about the gases and I'm, you know, just bear with me here, that you need weight and gravity, you need tethers, you need roots, you need, at least need the balloon, right? So there are tangible things that add weight to your ideas, and this is what it's calling for. Where can I do with more gravity? Okay. So there you have it. This is your new moon solar eclipse in Gemini energy report. I love you so very much. If you have comments or questions about it, you can put them in the private Facebook group. You can put them in the private community group here on the site. You can DM me. Let me know what you think and how it's going, and I will talk to you soon.